On December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. On February 19th, 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, authorizing the evacuation of all Japanese Americans from the West Coast. Over the next few months, 120,000 people of Japanese descent were imprisoned. And 2/3 were American citizens. Half were children.
I remember Auntie Ruthie telling us how 2 FBI agents in uniform came to their house when she was home with my grandma. Their mom was out in the field. Auntie Ruthie said she was so mad and she wanted to give them a piece of her mind. But she said nothing, and she deferred to our grandma, who was the older sister, who also said nothing and took the paper notice.
As U.S. citizens, they couldn't believe what was happening, and it all happened so fast. Evacuees were allowed to take whatever they could carry: clothing, bedding, knives, forks, spoons, plates, bowls, cups, and their personal effects. For our grandfather, Charles, this amounted to 2 suitcases, which he filled with books. For our Uncle Frank, he carried his trumpet.
This is our grandfather, Charles Ichiro Inouye, from Mountain View, California, and our grandmother, Bessie Shizuko Murakami, from Yakima, Washington. They met in the Heart Mountain Relocation Camp as Buddhist Sunday school teachers. We grew up in the house next door to them in Gunnison, Utah, and at times, usually when our grandpa was resting and relaxing in front of the TV or digesting his dinner, we would ask him about camp. He would respond, "It was like a vacation."
It was like a vacation?
Grandma Bessie came to camp with her mother Kumet and her younger sister Rose, who we called Auntie Ruthie. They were skilled farmers and seamstresses. Auntie Ruthie described the day they left their home as the saddest day.
That was the saddest day.
Auntie Ruthie would talk about the long lines at camp, where she and my grandmother would wait in the lines with their sewing or their embroidery. They took those Quaker Oats containers and they made little totes, and they put a string of wire or string and would carry them and take them out and do their sewing while they waited in line. Grandma and Grandpa's courtship happened in camp, where they walked the perimeter of along the barbed wire fence. It might have also been the path that Grandma walked with baby Dylan, who was born in camp. That was our uncle. We walked the same way.
We walked the same way. This is our grandpa's older sister, Helen. Her husband, Henry, was a prominent large-scale farm operator in Mountain View, California. When they and their 4 daughters left their ranch, they couldn't take much, just their own bodies. That's all.
Just their own bodies. That's all.
Our grandparents didn't speak much about the camp. Once when we asked Grandma whether they kept journals, she shook her head and said, "We didn't want to remember." But there are things that they couldn't forget.